Along with this, she is also developing Rethink BPD, an independent documentary, website, and social movements to help us understand how BPD is lived within different pockets of American culture and society. In addition to her speaking engagements, Ms. Wang is also using the web to chronicle her fight for mental illness awareness through her training towards the 2011 Golden Gloves Finals as an amateur boxer. And you can find further information and web links to each of Ms. Wang's projects in the packets that we've given out. So now let's give a warm welcome to
Thank you, Dr. Berenson, for inviting me here tonight. And thank you for coming here. I'm so glad you came and weathered the storm. I'm extremely excited and honored to be here to speak on behalf of those living with borderline personality disorder. But before I get to that, you heard right. Dr. Berenson had mentioned that I'm training to become an amateur boxer. And an amateur boxer is not what you typically see on TV. For one, we wear headgear. But number two is we don't get paid to get hit in the jugular. But, and with that, I haven't told my mom yet, unfortunately. So let's just keep that between us, I'll eventually tell her. But I know what she would say. First she would say no, and then the next thing she'd say would be boxing? It's like, Bob, could you pick anything or something else to do? And she's right. I mean, there's no fooling myself. The training involved in becoming a Golden Gloves caliber boxer will not come easy. When I do step in the ring, toe-to-toe with another fighter, a fighter who has more hours of training and experience in her left pinky knuckle than I have in my entire body, my first reaction will no doubtedly be to stop, drop, and roll. Despite the odds, I'm gonna do it. I want to be a fighter. I've spent the majority of my life avoiding conflict like this. And in many ways, I've grown accustomed to the path of least resistance. I avoid conflict like the plague. For me, avoiding conflict makes for good peace of mind with my very sensitive disposition. It makes my life easier, but choosing the easy life or the easy road, however, doesn't make it any more fulfilling. And maybe because of that, I've been missing out on something that I believe and have come to understand is very essential. I believe we are all called to be remarkable. And the way through which we can lead a remarkable life is by living a good story. And so you might ask me, well, what is a good story? And how do you live your life with a story in mind? For example, in the beginning of the year, like all Americans do, we set up resolutions. For instance, I could resolve and set a goal to lose 10 pounds. Now, naturally, as many resolutions go, they tend to go nowhere very quickly. But I don't think it's because of our lack of will. But I believe that we didn't create a good story around it. And so let's go back to the beginning of that year. This time, let's put in a couple of questions to create a story. What is your why? Why do you do what you do? What do you want? How will you get it? What is your motive for action and your drive? And not to think about it in past tense, not yesterday, not in my childhood, but today, what is your why? It wasn't easy for me to answer, but I knew I wanted to create a story that could push me through when it gets tough, like it usually does for me. And I thought my story would revolve around something to fight for, because when we are in that fourth week or that fourth month, making excuses not to push ourselves forward, when our mental illness gets the best of us, when all we can do is cry and ask why, we can look back at the beginning and call upon this reason.